and it was all about sort of being able to monitor and control the spaces where cars, which is a major way of getting on campus, would be able to provide that kind of access. There are already cameras on the buses.
Last year,
can I hear you?
Other than the two alleged attacks during orientation week last September, has there been anything else?
These are the sort of things that we can get to when we go over the concerns. So keep that in mind.
Yes. My first little thing is, it has to do with what was just brought up, is to what extent will, I feel like the parking lot cameras I can understand to some extent, but with the surveying the entrances, to what extent will that be used as like a tracking device for both people that are members of this community and people that are not, that are just visitors? And also, I'm just wondering, since members of the administration and public safety are here, why is this like third party needed like to facilitate when we could just have a direct conversation with the people who essentially like have the answers? So that could go with can community council do something?
That's my last concern.
There are already members of public safety patrolling the campus on bicycles. There are public safety automobiles being driven through parking lots. And I mean, that happens every 10 minutes. Every 10 minutes, a public safety vehicle drives through the Greenwich parking lot. It seems like things have gone too far, and they don't need to go any further.
Okay. Being is really like, oh, but I really have something really important to say, Lois. So let's start addressing these issues, and if you guys still have questions at the end, then we will address those. Okay, Katie Sawson is harassing me. Katie Sawson.
I worry that this conversation is taking place before some serious examination of trust issues with public safety and public safety officers and the intentions of different policies. And I wish that we could have that discussion before discussing whether or not we want them watching this.
So I'm going to... As hearing that, I think that is a good idea, but given our agenda today, it's not entirely feasible.
Let's have another meeting. And we are having another meeting this Thursday, 5 to 8, and that's the time where if you want to discuss things like that, like trust between public safety, these kind of like deeper issues, today is mostly just to make sure, like all these concerns, make sure everybody has heard everybody's concerns. That's kind of the point of this. And then on Thursday from 5 to 8 in the West Lecture Hall, we can get together and have, an hour discussion about one of these, which we can't really do today.
Yep. It's very rare that an event like this at Hampshire is so well advertised. I feel like please make sure that that event is as well advertised so that people do show up to it.
Can I just make a comment really quick about, not about cameras, but just about this conversation? I think we need to keep in mind, just as a community, this is an amazing, well-populated, all-community meeting, and I'm really happy that we're all here, and these concerns are all completely valid, and I empathize with most of them. But I think we just need to take a deep breath as a community and remember that there has not been a decision made, and this is not administration versus students, and it's not pub safety versus students, and it's not community council versus students. We're all just trying to come to a general consensus and have some dialogue about this. So I think that's just really important to keep in mind, so there's not a lot of
So let's start out with Hampshire being a unique community, or not like other campuses. So anyone want to speak to that? Great, we'll take Holder first.
Yeah, I mean, I just, despite what our current administration is making its assumptions based on, I feel like we are so unique as a student body that a lot of the responsibility for our own safety can be brought to our attention as individuals. and can be expected to a certain extent, be our responsibility and like be decisions that we have the power to make.
Tyler, can you go a little further and give some examples of like how as a community we would deal with an assault or like?
Yeah, I would say that depending on like who was involved in the assault, whether or not the perpetrator was a campus member or someone from off campus, extensive mediation would want to take place if it was somebody on campus, and certainly, like to an extent, punishment would have to be exacted, but it should be a much more community-based endeavor that would need to be identified.
Something that I just want to add in here is to keep in mind that these are security cameras for a parking lot where the majority of criminal activity that goes on in parking lots is related to the cars in the parking lot. And so it's a lot of vandalism, there could be theft of cars. We did have a case on campus where there was assault that occurred on or near the parking lot. But the issue isn't to eliminate or to secure physical like abuse scenarios, because those often happen outside of parking lots. And so the issue is mainly to protect the cars that are in the parking lots and the coming in, and the ones on the entrances are to be able to monitor the people coming in and out of campus in a way where you can locate a car that you're looking for.
Can I ask a question of everyone before we continue? So we have maybe like 15 concerns or so up there, and I'm going to be honest, we're not going to get through more than 4 or 5. If each one goes 10 minutes, we're only going to get through 4. So is it okay with people? So this is a really good point, and this sort of encompasses, the culture at Hampshire. What can we do from a grassroots level? Are there other alternatives that can happen? And that's a really interesting discussion. But if we could more, today is about security cameras, so that's a concern about that. And if maybe we can group some of these together, I know someone wants them to be all verbatim, but again, it's up to, it's really up to you guys. But if we really spend 10 minutes on each, we won't get through more than 4 of these, and these are all important. So are people okay with sort of trying to add some of these concerns together and have a larger discussion?
Yeah. Is there anyone strongly opposed to that?
So the question I would pose would be, are security cameras the best solution to the problem of crime in parking lots right now?
No.
I really just want to respond specifically to what
each one
about though.
But no one is strongly opposed to that interjection from Al.
Could we just possibly, I'm all for grouping this stuff together. I think if people want to address things individually, could we perhaps maybe do that at the 5 to 8 meeting? Because I think that the most important thing is to give a strong statement of pub safety to this huge group of people. We might not have this huge group of people, so I think we should group this together and triage.
Okay.
Can we extend the meeting?
We can extend the meeting as far as people's schedules are open to that. So yes, that is definitely something we can do. Should we get back to the agenda, or would we like to?
Yes.
Okay.
I propose that we select at least 1 or 2 issues just right off the bat that I think everybody feels most strongly about. That way we don't branch off into other areas that may not directly deal with the issue at hand.
There are a lot of issues on this screen. I think we need to identify the real important, the big issues. That when we have that conversation, we can go into. What are they?
It can be the same for everybody. It's going to be the big issue to somebody in this room.
I'm aware, but there are important.
I would just like
accountability, guys. Is that a big one?
I would just like to say that last year, the second day of school, I was one of those people who was assaulted on campus. So I think that in the parking lot, so I think I can add a personal aspect to this that we all keep talking about as a reason for cameras, because I was one of those